In this video, we're going to take a look at some commands that you would use to troubleshoot if you're having any issues with your device, or specifically with the interfaces on that device. So now let's say you've gone through and you've configured a device and there's something wrong with your interface. Perhaps it's not coming up, or perhaps that it is functioning, but you're seeing some weird network issues and you need to drill down to see what's happening on your network. Here are some commands that can help with that. The first one that I'm going to mention is just the ping command. Ping is great because it can tell you if you just have basic connectivity. So I can ping something like, if I want to ping 10.1.0.3 and ping that address and see if I have connectivity from, in this case, the switch to that device, which is my demo Pi that's on here. So yes, in fact, I have connectivity there. Things are communicating, and so I have at least some sort of connectivity. But what else could be wrong? Like maybe it's having intermittent issues or something. So let's further take a look at this and see some other commands. One that can be really helpful is the show run command, and this would show the running config. Or we can get more specific and see a specific interface. So I could do interface FA0 1 and take a look at that interface and see how it is configured. So that can be helpful for taking a look to just see what the configuration is as you're going through this troubleshooting process. Another command here is show interfaces. So I can do show interfaces and I see that the VLAN 1 is up. I see some stats associated with it. I'm going to scroll through to take a look at this interface 01, which is an actual port that's physically plugged into a device, and I see packets that have gone across here, bytes that have gone across here. If there's any buffers, and we can take a look at the buffer here in a little bit. If there's any runts or giants or throttles or input errors, and each one of these will be significant of is not the whole packet coming in, or is the packet too large, so it can really zero down into what's happening on your device. So if I continue with this show interfaces, you'll notice that it shows me a lot of different interfaces, and that can be problematic if I'm looking for a specific interface, especially if it's later on. So if I want to just look at FA014, I can use that same command, but I can type in the interface that I want to look at, and it would show me just that interface. The other command that I really like using is the show IP interface. And so I can use that command, and same thing, it's going to go scroll through all of the interfaces, or I can use that command and say FA014 to look at just the interface that I want to look at. And this is a switch port, and since I typed in IP in there, it's looking from a layer 3 perspective and layer 3 information on here, and 014 is not giving me much, although we did see that VLAN 1 is a layer 3, so it gives us much more information with it. Okay, next thing, that one of my favorite commands is show IP interface brief. And this shows me a table of all my interfaces. So I use this a ton, and it gives me information such as assigned IP addresses. It gives me information such as if these are up, if they're administratively shut down, which means I've actually got the shutdown command on the interface. It'll show me that. If in these cases where it doesn't say administratively down, it's just because these ports, nothing is plugged into them. So a real quick way to see all of this information at a quick glance. Of course, these commands will also work with IP version 6. So I can do a show IP version 6 interface brief and hit enter, and then it shows me from a layer 3 perspective what is going on with these different switch ports here too. So layer 3 and in association with IP version 6. Okay, and then one other one that I'm going to do on here is a show buffers. So a switch needs to buffer the information, buffer the frames as it comes into the switch to see what the MAC address is before it forwards it onto a port. So it's got to buffer that information before it can forward the information. So if I look at this can show me if I'm having any buffering issues, and perhaps this switch is saturated or something is going on with the switch. And so I can look at here and find all sorts of information on the buffers, and if there are details that will help me troubleshoot, this could be a good location for that. So quite a few commands there that can help us. There's some that I use really often, like the show IP interface brief. I love that command. Obviously, you're doing show runs. So these are the commands that you're going to constantly be using as you're troubleshooting and you're connecting in different devices and you're experiencing maybe something is not functioning the way you want. You'll definitely be using these different commands.